मैच्योर बहुत ज्यादा मैच्योर
अरे पैसा इतना आ रहा है, रिटेल फ्लो है, DI
But
फ्लो
we've
है.
been talking about that.
We are talking about
There's
it.
a lot
That
of
is-
cash sitting on the side waiting for any dip.
डिप्लॉयमेंट.
Yes.
And this 1%
In fact,
dip has been more.
it's a very mature way of reacting because
Exactly.
24,000 is holding beautifully actually. The kind of puts that's been it's coming at 24,000. There was a base which is forming there, and we tested below 24,000 in early morning trade, but it's come back. I think we will see some kind of short covering happening towards the end of the day, and what is more important is that many of the short positions which have been held on, or some of the longs, there will be an unwinding which will happen because people will go lighter on the weekend because they don't want to carry those positions to Monday. But foreign flows have been
They've
positive.
held up.
Resilient.
Yeah, means every day we have a
Held
net
up.
2,000, 3,000 crores flow which is coming
16 days have happened.
16 days, 16
So
days,
and that's
16
a
days.
record, I think, since 2023 now, Feb
in.
2023.
Yes.
But
So,
2023,
Feb
I thought
longest
it must have
streak.
been even
I think
earlier
it's
than
Feb
that.
2023, no,
Okay, I'll recheck.
17 days.
Last week's
16 odd
data
days.
suggests, foreign flow data suggests that $9.3 billion went out of US ETFs. There was another $2.3 billion that went out of Chinese ETF, and we got around $1 billion. And today the AMFI numbers have come in. What is surprising is 26,000 crores of SIP flowing in the month of April.
Yes.
Net inflows of 24,000. Arbitrage funds have got nearly 12,000 odd crores of net inflows. And what is more important is other ETFs have got 19,000 crores of ETFs. So money is flowing into ETFs, and people and it's mostly the retail which is going into ETF market, and that's important because people are not taking risk. They're taking bets with the index, and they're parking the funds in the ETFs.
Which is the right way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rather than bet on a fund manager to get it right for you, you are just betting on the market.
It's a
that the
passive market
will-
play which is happening. 19,000 plus crores of inflows going into ETFs is a huge amount actually. And last month it was around 10,500 crores which was there. So over a period of time, we are seeing nearly 20 to 30%. In the last 3 months, if you look at 30% of net flows have gone into ETFs, and this is increasing. So people are taking a lot of bet going. So that money which was supposed to go into short-term transactions in, say, futures and options, or day trade or something which has become much more expensive, people are parking it in ETFs and रहने दो उधर. वहाँ पर पैसिव फंड खर्चा कम होता है और सिर्फ STT देना होता है और लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल, शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल में जो भी होगा वो देंगे वो.
Do we have the
अगर short
breakup
term किया
also
तो.
कि कहाँ गया है कौन से ETFs में?
वो देखना पड़ेगा. अदर ETFs का कैटेगरी के अंदर
Other,
आता है वो. AMFI doesn't give you the breakup, but it's easy to get because ETF data is there on a daily basis on the stock exchanges, so you'll get the data.
Very impressive, right?
Interesting.
The way
Yeah.
so Somit and me had a bet today morning, where
You should ask me. I would have got the money.
he said, yeah, so he said gap down.
नहीं, गैप डाउन तो सबको मालूम है, उसमें क्या बेट है?
No. So even I said gap down, but I thought and I told him that if it's a substantial gap down, then markets will bottom today. Today will be that day. If it's a substantial gap down, it didn't turn out to be a substantial gap down.
It wasn't supposed to be a substantial gap down because look at the factors.
But panic तो था.
नहीं, panic तो कल
after
afternoon
last
से-
evening panic तो था.
देखो
Agreed.
आपका you have to look at the market from the point of view. कल 2:30, 3 o'clock is when the first bulletin came out
Correct.
from the MOD, right?
45.
Saying that 15 air bases have been attacked and they have been countered. So what does the market do after that? It
Fell around 1% or so.
not even 1%, 0.5% or something.
Yeah,
It
maybe.
fell, right? It fell, but the factors being, FIs was net positive at the end of the day. Okay, you had strong volumes were thin. DIs have a net negative towards the end because they were selling in the last half hour, which happened. And in the futures and options, puts put was forming a good support at 24,000.
Yeah.
There's a call writing which was happening at 24,300 and 24,400.
400 was the maximum number of calls
which was coming in, which is there, which shows that there was a band which was getting formed. Of course, you had an overnight escalation which happened, but the market was there. But you know, she's the person for the day. पूरा consumer क्या पिडलाइट, एशियन पेंट्स, टाइटन और कौन सा कोई बचा है? कल्याण ज्वेलर्स और ब्रिटानिया
और सब अलग अलग है,
सब अलग अलग है, पर कंज्यूमर है, मतलब एक पूरा कंज्यूमर है भाई,
वो कवर करने वाली है, कोर कंज्यूमर भी कवर कर रहे वाली है,
बिस्किट भी खाएगी,
सब स्टॉक अप करके महिमा ने रख
दिया। तो बताइए कि ये 5-6 सेक्टर्स का जो आप मिश्रण के बाद आपको क्या दिखता है?
दिखता तो ये है कि सर, I mean I'll start with Britannia first because the kind of volumes it has maintained the volumes despite of the price
3%
hike.
ना?
8%
so, growth total था ना?
नहीं, overall volumes was 8% and value growth was 9%.
Okay.
So I mean 8% volume growth कोई FMCG नहीं कर रहा है. Britannia कर रहा था 2 quarters ago as well, but at that point of time they had not taken price hikes.
Okay.
Price hikes 2 quarters से ले रहे हैं, but despite that they've maintained their overall volume, which is why I think because the overall sentiment is a little subdued, but otherwise also the stock has upheld its
तो प्राइस हाइक सिर्फ 1% का था सिर्फ?
हाँ, overall 1% का था, ज़्यादा नहीं था. So that is a good thing. That is one good thing that I found in Britannia.
Margins कैसे थे?
Margins were good overall, better than what the street was expecting. Or the street was expecting, I think.
But they've come off.
But they've come off. And that's expected because wheat, तुम्हारा पाम ऑयल सब कुछ बढ़ा है.
पर तो वही मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि पास थ्रू नहीं कर रहे, कुछ कमेंट्री है उस पे?
Not yet. They have their con call on Monday, so we'll get. हाँ,
मतलब 4 दिन के बाद con call कर रहे हैं.
4 दिन के बाद कर रहे हैं.
मैंने नोमोरा का रिपोर्ट देखा जिसमें उसने सिर्फ 5 लाइन लिख के भेज दिया, con call on Monday.
Maybe they are in their bunkers.
Yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, so that's with regards to Britannia. फिर Asian Paints I talked to the management as well. I think Asian Paints के लिए even the Q1 demand scenario doesn't look good. बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. I mean it's muted demand. There is destocking which is taking place. Competition this time management ने clearly आके बोला है
कि competition हमको impact कर रहा है.
Is impacting right now. Birla Opus has eaten away 3 to 5% of their share, which is a big
and this is contrary to what the street was saying कि नहीं कि एशियन पेंट का शेयर तो जाएगा नहीं.
I know who you are referring to.
हमारे यूएस इन्वेस्टर जो है नीरज शाह.
Yeah, and not just new entrants. The question that I asked him was, is it just the new entrants or the already established players are also kind of giving you good competition? Because Berger Paints comparatively is doing very well.
I think Berger has increased his market share a bit, right?
It has, and because it is foraying into the new segments like we were talking about. So Berger Paints is also eating away some of their share. That is one thing. Plus, the other question was कि margins थोड़ा, because their guided range have always remained between that 18 to 21% mark, right? But margins have come at the lower end of that range that they've given. And my question to them was, because now crude has significantly seen a downtick, right? Some impact on margins should be in. But the kind of outlook that has come is that, you know, it is not going to be a big surprise when it comes to margins. So margins will still remain under pressure going forward as well.
So basically what they're saying is that even though I am getting a buffer of the raw material prices, I will play the pricing game to maintain my market share, right? That's what कहने का मतलब वही है, right?
Correct. So that's with regards to Asian Paints. Pidilite's numbers जो street estimate कर रहा था उससे slight miss था, but overall it was.
Why was it miss?
In terms of marketing spends उनका बहुत ज़्यादा था, so EBIT was a miss there. So तुम्हारे margins भी उसकी वजह से slight miss थे. Marketing spends काफी ज़्यादा. So when I spoke to the management, he said कि हाँ, marketing spends have been higher, and this is because urban demand is slowing down. So their focus right now is to pick up, and their focus has always remained rural first, because for them rural has always grown better than urban. But since urban demand is quite significantly slowing down, their marketing spends are towards seeing some growth there. So that is one thing. Pidilite में एक interesting thing ये भी थी कि subsidiaries have not done very well this quarter, their international subsidiaries. तो उसके लिए the outlook is कि FY26 is going to do better according to the management. We'll have to see as to how that pans out, but that's one thing. और कौन सा बचा? कल्याण ज्वेलर्स, यस, कल्याण ज्वेलर्स. I think
Kalyan
numbers
and
अच्छे
Titan.
थे. Kalyan and Titan, yeah. So I'll take both of them. I'll take Titan first, in fact. So Titan numbers अच्छे थे because gold prices have been rising. So their overall top line has gone up because gold prices are rising. The second fact is कि gold chains, gold coins ज़्यादा बिक रहे हैं.
वो बोल रहे हैं. I remember
he
you
alluded to the
asking.
fact, yes,
हाँ.
that yes, this is happening. People want to pay less making charges or no making charges. So that is happening.
So
But
हमारा
what
जो
he said
hypothesis था, right?
is
That you know
correct.
this is happening.
Is correct.
हाँ.
But he said that this is not there to stay. Once people are okay with this kind of price levels on gold, that will change. But उनके लिए problem मतलब वहाँ है, that is their overall studded mix going down. मैंने उनको पूछा कि lab grown diamond का impact है, is this because they've also said कि studded में diamonds are now being made at lower carat levels. To probably give competition. That's my assessment. Because lab grown diamond is giving them
तो less
competition.
than 50,000 का जो प्राइस टैग है उस पे उसके अंदर आप वो कर you bring up jewelries and other stuff which is there, right? Because lab grown का वही range है.
Correct. But they are still not accepting the fact that हाँ lab grown diamond दे रहा है उनको tough competition. For now, the management has said that no, we've not seen demand significant enough कि we will consider even consider going into lab grown diamonds. So
कल्याण क्या बोला?
कल्याण ज्वेलर्स का भी कौन अभी बाकी है, and कल्याण ज्वेलर्स का overall numbers were better than what the street was expecting. Again, same thing. It was better because of overall high gold prices. For them, I think studded revenue has done better than what it did for Titan.
Okay.
Overall studded revenue growth came at around 48%, but studded revenue is a very small part of their overall. I think it's around 10% if I'm not wrong, 10 or 11%.
Because for them, a large portion comes from the south where the studded is not much, and it only comes in the northern area, right?
Correct.
And in the northern thing, I think the wedding season is now. If I'm not wrong.
Correct.
So वो उसका वो है. But
one thing I want to just try and to kind of cap this point. Very interesting. I was just looking at the Asian Paints numbers. First time in the last 11 years that Asian Paints has degrown on top line. First time in 11 years. Okay. In the last 10 years, Asian Paints' top line has tripled till from FY14 to FY24. Top line has tripled. Bottom line has grown at 4x. So 4x bottom line, tripling of top line. This time, your EBITDA is down 20% versus FY24. Your top line is down just about 6%. So large hit on margin versus top line. If my margin is proportionate or even okay to top line, but top line down 6%, but margin down 20%. Or rather, EBITDA down 20%. That's a huge hit. And last thing, profitability of course, but the last thing is that we've seen margins go up from 16% to 20% to 21% to 22% FY21.
And उसके बाद gradually.
So they are okay with if they go back to the 16% also.
Not 16%. They've said that it'll be between 18 to 22%. They'll not
They've
bring it
said
down
18 to
below
22. But traditionally, they have done 16 in the past. I'm
But that
just
was
trying to understand what the down, how
which
low are
year
they
was
willing
it?
to go?
16%?
It was 16% in the year FY15.
15. Okay. That was a year of high oil prices.
Yes.
Correct.
Right?
That's
Yes.
also correct.
Yes.
So उसकी वजह से.
So, but my point is not that. My point is when push comes to shove, will they be willing to go down that margin chain? I'm just trying to understand how low will they be
till now
willing
they've
to go.
maintained that commentary that no, we'll not
Will
go
not
down
go.
below 18. But yeah, we'll have
But
to
push
see.
comes to shove, maybe they have to.
They still have the 2%
bandwidth.
na maybe here, right?
Abhi 19
but
something odd percent
but
hai, so.
the fact is that all these leaders in respective segments, they all have one thing which they want to maintain, which is the fair market share in there, right? Because getting market share is a very tough thing, very difficult thing. You lose that market share, it's very difficult to come back. Simple as. So at whatever cost, we've seen HUL talking about the same language. We are now talking about Asian Paints doing the same thing, and in every sector where consumer is there, and they're trying to say that at whatever cost, maintain the market share. We will come back on the margins front as dynamic things settle. Simple.
IPL के टाइम पे कितना उन लोग ने
By the way,
एडवर्टाइजिंग
IPL is supposed to
एशियन
be.
पेंट्स ने IPL के टाइम पे आई हैव नॉट सीन लास्ट ईयर IPL में एडवर्टाइजिंग किया है, ये साल किया है. आई हैव बीन
IPL
नोटिसिंग
suspend हो गया by the way because of this.
ऑल टुगेदर.
हाँ.
For now.
That's what PTA is saying actually.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big
So,
deal.
so that advertising money will go somewhere else now because the finals are supposed to play in May 27th, 25th or something, na?
I don't remember exactly, but yes.
हाँ. ये पूरा मई का महीने का जो IPL
I think yesterday
It's
they
not
played
just-
only to show कि भाई resilience है, हमें कुछ नहीं हो सकता.
हाँ.
But I think yesterday they kind of
That's-
realized
that's
that
our-
ये chance लेके कोई मतलब नहीं.
हाँ.
They've gone very big in terms of social media marketing also, Asian Paints. When I was seeing their presentation, they're paying, I mean, I'm guessing that they're paying very well to the creators also who are getting views, and that is also, I think,
You know,
probably going to work out well in their favor, hopefully.
looking at Pidilite, looking at Asian Paints, two sectors or two categories which are linked to real estate. If they are not finding growth there, then real estate में भी growth का problem है, right? Simple as that. Means because it's allied real estate allied sectors which
और
is
अभी
there.
given the current situation, these things will get hit the first.
Yes.
People will not do home renovation.
Discretionary
They'll
spend.
push home renovation.
हाँ.
They'll say ठीक है चलो.
और
नहीं
दिवाली
है
तक
जरूरत.
देखेंगे.
हाँ, दिवाली के
देखेंगे.
पहले देख लेंगे.
And for Asian Paints, like you rightly mentioned, decorative इतना नहीं बढ़ा.
नहीं.
It's the industrial paints which has made sure कि थोड़ा सा numbers in check.
Exactly.
रहे. So
कंजाई
industrial-
नेरोलैक के लिए भी इंडस्ट्रियल
industrial
पेंट ही
बढ़ा.
बढ़ा है.
And for Pidilite also,
हाँ,
their
industrial-
EV adhesive segment वगैरह has done very well as compared to their,
So the
in-home
decorative and the
products.
home segments are not growing, and which basically means that either the renewals or new ones are not growing much, right? Means that's a I don't know. I think pipes वगैरह जो है I think पुनीत देखता है, right? But I think वहाँ पर भी ऐसी मोड
Similar trend
similar
होगा,
trend होगा
similar.
basically. But let's start with some of the questions actually. Anupama, sorry, Yogesh.
Guys, please give us
Yeah.
likes before
Yeah.
that. Sorry, please give
Yeah,
us likes.
yes,
Please
likes and
share
subscribe. Yeah.
If you're liking what we're doing. we're trying to
Yogesh
simplify
Tite
that.
says Mahima is my favorite anchor. Mahima.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Mahima is giving us a party today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, what's his name?
Yogesh.
Yogesh. Thank you.
Parth
Mahima
Shah.
party today.
CDSL. Any insights?
CDSL, any insights?
हमने कल भी बात की थी इस पे.
बहुत
right?
बात किया
Yeah.
है इस पे.
इसमें but the capital market segment is down. Transactions are lower, so revenues are coming down for them.
Yeah.
Simple.
And look at shareholding. We had spoken about
Yeah.
that as well a couple of
Yeah.
days back.
Satya and Path, CDSL, look at the transaction volumes. If transaction volumes are going to come down, then the revenues are going to get hit. Simple.
But
So
in the medium to long term, they'll obviously go up. Look at valuations, see what the risk reward is, analyze that. Also look at shareholding. FI and DI holding is coming down and retail holding is going up. Never a good sign. Just putting it out there.
where the smart
for you
investor
to-
is going. Simple. We were
for
talking
you
about
to-
it, about
for
this
you
yesterday.
to analyze and look at.
Sushanta
those
Kumar Sahu, please analyze MCX Titan results. Titan, Mahima has already done it. MCX basic numbers, I was just
मैंने
reading
नहीं
some of
देखा
them. Their average daily turnover has fallen for futures. Their average daily turnover for options have also fallen. And as a result of that, the transaction revenues have also fallen, which is there. So again, if your average daily turnover is falling, and especially from a retail point of view, that means that the retail volumes are coming down, then your revenues are going to hit. But on a year-to-year basis, they have gone up, but on a quarter-to-quarter basis, there has been a small decline.
But generally, you look at this quarter to quarter,
Yeah.
and therefore that, and you've also seen a shrink in operating margin, which is EBITDA margin, as a result of this, because a large part of
Yeah.
the expense is fixed.
Yeah, fixed. So the moment the transaction revenues come down,
Automatically you take a hit on the top line and your margins and your bottom line.
I think this is important one, Shankar Nandawala. Do you
हाँ,
guys
Kanan,
still think?
Kanan, we have already discussed Kalyan. I think
Kalyan.
Mahima has already spoken about it.
Yeah.
Shankar Nanda क्या कह रहा है? हाँ.
Defense के लिए, do you guys still think our defense companies can make long-term profits considering we are going into geopolitical warfare in the coming times?
See, there are a couple of things. We don't know how this conflict is going to escalate and in what form it will translate going forward. So let's be very cautious about what it is. Today, as we speak, we don't see anything happening to defense stocks because they have a good order book. By the way, today's I think Nifty Defense is the biggest gainer today.
Yeah.
2% up.
Over 2% up.
Only gainer, I think.
Yeah, in the
शायद
sectors,
से
yes.
ऊपर
In
नहीं
the
होगा।
sector, if I am not wrong, वही है.
ठीक है, मैं देखता हूँ सर।
हाँ, वही है. I
मैं
think.
देखता हूँ।
तो उसी में मिलेगा आपको. So in the sector, what we are talking about, I think that's the only gainer which is there today. All other sectors are down. So from a defense company's point of view, I don't think their profitability is at risk going forward because this is going to be an increased spending thing, especially after this escalation which has come into play.
Sorry, interrupt. PSU Bank is also up.
Yeah. So there's
these two, and auto is mildly in the green.
Mildly in green. So there is a recovery which is happening, right? In the morning, only defense index was up, and all other indices were down. So now there is a revival in the PSU Bank and auto, which is coming in, led by Tata Motors there. But as I was saying, defense stocks will have a good, healthy order book, and that is expected to expand going forward. One thing which is coming through in this escalation is that tech-based defense companies will have a much better role going forward, and that's what we are seeing, because what today's warfare or what today's escalation, what we are seeing across the border, a lot of tech-based warfare is happening now, whether it's integrated, air defense system, command and control, which is coming into play, guided missiles or drones or or any other aerial or land system which is coming to play. It's entirely technology based which is coming in, and any company which is going to integrate all that is going to have a good role and good future coming in. I think Idea Forge is the biggest gainer today, right?
Yeah.
Because of the drones that they made.
Question on that as well.
Yeah. So we don't know. See, I would refrain from talking about the kind of technologies they have or the kind of products they have and which kind of products are getting used today, because it's not the forum to do it. Maybe once this escalation is over, then we can discuss how it helped. But today, that's a sector to look at, and I think you should look at some of the commentaries which are coming from these companies to find out what kind of cutting edge things they are doing it. But in the future, the kind of capex which we are trying to do, a lot of emphasis would be given to technology-led defense.
And unmanned vehicles,
Unmanned UAVs, means fly-by-wire, all those things.
Those
which
kind
is
of things. That's
beyond
the nature of
visual
new warfare
range. These are the new things which are in technology, which is there, because you're not crossing the airspace, but you're standing in your airspace and then firing across, right? So.
So F-16s got shot down, obviously.
There's no confirmation of it, but point is that
unmanned vehicles always help in that sense.
Yes.
That's the case I'm trying to make. I also think that from a defense perspective, the spending and the pattern of defense spending going forward is going to be very, very different. I think this fundamentally changes everything with regard to defense. You have to look at defense now in a completely new light, because you will see fast tracking of orders and faster execution of current orders. You will likely see the government pushing that capacity gets increased, existing capacities get increased if at all there is that constraint. Right, especially on the PSU side of things, where the government can control and increase, there will also be there'll be a completely hands-off approach to spending. They will say, for example, if simulators, they will say, just give us simulators, we don't have an issue. They will not try and cap spending in any form because of everything that's playing out. And at least for the next year or two, my sense is, and sir, you're better placed at understanding this, my sense is that the government will have a hands-off approach. जो करना है करो, जितना करना है करो.
No, उतना नहीं होगा. I don't think we are going to be
not
so
completely, but
irresponsible in spending.
But to some extent.
But our focus, in FY 25-26, the total capex spending in defense was 1.8 lakh crores, right? A lot of that was going into aircraft, naval systems, and others. A large part of that now will be tech-led. So you will have capital coming in, capital assets coming in, but it will have a lot of technology in it in that sense. So that is the emphasis which is going to be. It's a shift which is happening from what I saw during the Kargil war to what we have seen in the two surgical strikes after Uri and Pulwama, and now at Pahalgam. There's a shift which is happening towards more technology-oriented warfare. Warfare is now more of a cyber and integrated networks, which is there, and that's what was at play yesterday. I mean, if you look at some of the channels which was showing the way it was getting what do you call, they were intercepting each of that missiles which were coming in. It's more of a technology play which was on scale.
And it was impressive.
It was impressive in that sense.
So just want to understand, what are the stocks right now that are really investing in technology per se, where defense comes into picture? Any listed company that's doing that?
See, today if you look at even a howitzer which we do, right? It's also a tech-led in that sense. It's a shoot and scoot kind of thing. Like we are talking of ATAGs which Bharat Forge is supposed to deliver by end of the year or next year. They're also tech aligned there. The today's integrated hardware is now very closely linked to the software and networks, so that it takes approach. So a best way to do is that we had a guest in the morning who spoke about how our air defense systems work, and he gave an idea of how it's 2 layers or 3 layers and all. Now that layers is also linked to what is on the ground, which is there, right? So it's a tech-led thing. So look at companies not just from a hardware point of view, but also from software point of view, because that's something where we have. Okay. There is Sami Hotels and Travel Airspace. Some update on Sami Hotels and Travel as a space. I think travel and tourism is the biggest hit. We have 24 100%. Airports which are now closed for civilian traffic. So I think Q1 would be, and all of them are in the tourist states. Correct. Rajasthan, Gujarat, Punjab, Himachal, Jammu and Kashmir. I think it is a tourist season. Means
100%, and in summer season it's the tourist place that person wants to go.
So there is going to be a muted thing for them.
So there's a question on IHCL also, because IHCL has major exposure in Jammu and Kashmir as well as Himachal Pradesh, which is where the stock is seeing that kind of downtick.
Yes, and also it gave a muted guidance also in terms of the number of keys it's going to open and all.
On Sami Hotels, just quick update, because this was a recent one and we saw a significant uptick in the counter where GIC decided to acquire around 35% stake in Sami Hotels. That investment is roughly 752 odd crores, and 3 subsidiaries they'll be acquiring. They will also do a JV platform, establish a JV, which will be a platform based thing, which will probably invest another $300 million to just upscale hotel assets. And lastly, they will incubate 5 new hotels, and this is roughly around 2,200 odd crores. So overall, management expects around 580 crores of debt reduction. They've said that 15 to 20% impact on PAT, upwards of that on PAT will also be there, and incremental cash will also come in due to the overall annual interest reduction that will take place. So that's the update, quite recent update with respect to Sami Hotels. The next one is, I think Vital is asking this question, is this a good time to enter Bandhan Bank? Is his question, Hersh?
Difficult to say, frankly, but if the MFI cycle, and we've been saying this regularly on this show, that if the MFI cycle were to improve, we're not seeing substantial improvement yet, maybe a quarter or 2 out, but if we do see an improvement with regard to the microfinance cycle, you could well see Bandhan Bank do well, because one, the base is small and therefore it can grow fast. 2, it has a decent presence, but also understand one more thing, Bandhan Bank is doing three things. One, it is going to segments where yields are coming down, right? How much are they willing to dilute your yield is going to be important to watch out for. Two, there's new leadership, and therefore policy changes will keep happening over the next 2 to 3 quarters. You want to wait and watch for what all changes are happening and what is the end goal. Where are we going to settle at in terms of top line, in terms of credit cost guidance, in terms of profitability. And three, how does the management actually execute some of these things. So even if you want to pure play MFI, Bandhan Bank may not be the best play at this point because a lot of changes happening internally.
You know, the other question is coming from, where was it? It's Sami, Beyond Urban, Rakesh Lad. Friends, long-term view on TCS. Look at the IT index in the last 1 month, up nearly 10%. Now, you just opposed to what FIs are doing in that segment. We had outflows of nearly $2 billion, which is going out from IT companies in April alone, which is there. So there is an contrary thing which is being played out. The Nifty IT is going up and FI money is going out from there. So from a company's point of view, some of these companies have given good. They've been cautious with respect to what's happening in the US and the tariff, but at the same time they've given decent guidance with respect to what they expect. So like TCS given guidance saying that they're going to do better than what they did in FY25. Beyond that, they didn't mention, and they were talking about margins to be stable for them. So the US India trade dialogue, if it gets completed by end of the May, you'll have a much better view of how IT is going to do. But India UK trade has helped IT companies in a big way because the social security contribution which is required may be eased, and that will reduce some of the costs for some of the companies. And I think TCS has a good exposure to European markets and UK markets there. So that's a positive for some of the Indian IT companies which have there. So let's watch out for the India-US bilateral trade agreement, and based on that you will have a much better say of how things are going on. But as of now, it seems that IT companies, there is a funds are going into it, retail is going into it, but at the same time we're seeing IT foreign investors are exiting in that company.
You want me to take up Mayur Uniquoters?
Yes, Kalyan is talking about some, Mayur Uniquoters is up 10%.
Do you have visibility on the stock, Mayur?
Not really.
Hey,
It's a very small.
It's a leather sector company,
leather.
no?
So it's
UK
a leather
FTA,
sector company.
it's
UK
probably-
FTA is a big, it could be a big beneficiary of the UK FTA. So it's a good pick. I had to look up the company, so I've frankly just about looked it up. I think you should do a deep analysis of it.
Is the numbers out for Q4?
I haven't checked. Yes, numbers are out for Q4.
How is the numbers look?
The numbers are looking decent. So when you're looking at
March
it
25.
YOY, it's largely flat on a YOY basis. But EBITDA margins have held up.
Yeah.
There's no real interest cost. And your YOY PAT is
Marginally higher,
stable,
Stable.
steady state.
So
No growth that's coming in. It struggled for growth in the past as well.
but how is
I'm looking
leather
at the numbers.
looking? Because do you look at leather?
Yeah, no, not really, but so for the company specifically, because almost over 30% of their sales is exports.
Yes.
And it's interesting because they provide leather, semi-finished leather to Bata as well as Relaxo as well as
Yes.
Action. So it's interesting. Even in automotive space, Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors, Mahindra,
They
etc.
supply
are
for
there.
seats,
Volkswagen,
etc.
Yeah.
Hyundai are
for
their clients.
some of these.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure because they've not given the UK breakdown exactly, but
They
I
haven't.
think
But any amount coming from UK, this will be a
It's going to be
beneficiary.
a
So it's a good
beneficiary.
play with regard to UK, and it could well help expansion as well. They've got very low borrowing, very low interest cost, and therefore you could grow from a capex perspective as well. We'll have to look out as to what they've said on capex. I can't see the commentary. And even in terms of valuations, not looking very expensive. It's 5-year average price to earnings, something around 23. Currently, the PE is 15 times. Trailing 12 months I'm talking about. I'm not even talking 1 year forward. So maybe 16 times, maybe not 15. and good healthy ROE and ROCE ratios. 16% on ROE, 21% on ROCE. So, so decent, looks like a decent company. Doesn't look.
So I'm just looking at one of the Anand Rathi report which has come in, right? It says, the B2C segment is good for them in that sense, but and they're expecting automobiles to be soft, but buoyancy to be there, and OEM exports were impacted by the US elections and lean season. That was in Q3, so it must have improved in this season.
So management has given a guidance that they expect double-digit growth in FY26 with the automotive exports and planning to reach around 200 to 225 odd crores is what, and they anticipate better performance in FY26 and Q4 as well. So yeah.
Cash flow also looks decent.
Decent, yeah.
It's largely in line with profit before tax, which is very important. It's a key metric which you could have easily tracked in something like a Gensol, where receivables go up very sharply. Not seeing that over here. Your days in terms of debtor days, inventory days, largely stable. In fact, inventory days have gotten better, and payable days have also reduced, which is a negative. But broadly, that's how it's played out. Good shareholding pattern. Promoters have nearly 60% stake, so good skin in the game as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's how it stacks up broadly.
Yeah, there's a question from Suraj Jain, which is who's asking about India VIX going forward.
I think it's important if you also just give a brief ki kaise wo VIX ko because a lot of people are confused always na ki volatility index hai.
Yeah, so volatility index is based on the kind of trading that is happening in the options market, right? So if you see index going VIX going up, then you're going to see a lot of puts getting written there, and that's protection which is coming in. So VIX is directly proportional to that. But if you suddenly see VIX falling down, then there's an unwinding which happening, and the calls getting written there, which also means that there is a cap coming in as well. So it's more to do with the futures and options market. It gives you the kind of volatility which is there in the options market of call and put, how Nifty call and put is getting written and which direction it's moving. So I haven't seen the last price of VIX, but it was trading 3.7% up, 21.8. I don't think 50% यहाँ से बढ़ेगा VIX 30 given the kind of stable I think mature way of market reacting. I don't think it's going to happen. If there is a major escalation that happens, then maybe you'll see a spike coming into the VIX going forward. But watch out for how your call and put options are getting played out and at what level there's the demand is, and that will give you an idea of where the VIX is going. By the way, a lot of people do trade based on the VIX in the Japan market. And that's primarily the volatility, implied volatility for each of the stocks or the options which they use that. So that's something which you need to look out for. But that's a very sophisticated way of trading, and retailers should not look at it because it needs a lot of experience and time. Exactly. This is about you. It's all about the fun. How do you see the demand for essential items in the next quarter?
Right, so we discussed this, right? One, that in terms of staples, if people panic, they might start stocking up. We also saw some stocking the parts of Punjab as well as north of India. So stocking up in the near future might see some kind of spur in terms of sales of staple FMCG companies. That is one thing. Secondly, sales for these delivery platforms might also go up for some time, because if people start to stock up, they might get more deliveries in terms of their quick commerce space. But eventually, if things escalate and if deliveries stop, that might also hamper. So it's a two-way sword there. And in terms of discretionary spending, I think if things escalate, discretionary spending is going to be the worst hit, because people are not going to go out and buy watches or jewelry or apparel for that matter. So that might take a hit. So that's with regards to where demand for essential items stand. And I think even this is
Suraj is asking about can you
sectors.
outperforming sectors during 99 Kargil war. Suraj, the market has totally changed. 25 years.
True.
26 years.
And the circumstances are very different.
Different.
In Kargil, I believe that, and I was speaking to someone yesterday, the geography was so focused with regard
Localized.
to North.
It's very
Now
localized.
it's no longer localized. We've seen the whole of North India shut down.
Yeah.
So
North and
And
Western
parts of
India.
West,
And
So
parts of
if
West,
you,
yes.
if you look at Kargil at that point in time, it was more related to Indian action in the Indian side of the line of control and action which was there. Here we are talking about cross border which is coming in, and at that point in time, it was an incursion by Pakistani army, and while they were claiming that they are not Pakistani army, the evidence was different. But of course, there was some impact which is there. But in 25 years, the way of trading has moved. From 1999 to now, we have moved away from the way of trading. The kind of money which is coming in at this point in time is different. Retail money was hardly any. जो भी छोटा सा trading होता था, mutual fund थोड़े से होते थे, और FIs had a bigger say in the markets at that point in time. Last 6 years, 2019 onwards, we've seen a lot of retail money coming. Like today, SIP हम 26,000 करोड़ SIP एक महीने का बोल रहे हैं, तो आप ये लेके चलो कि रफली अराउंड 3 लाख करोड़ ऑफ मनी विच इज़ कमिंग एज SIP इनटू द मार्केट. इतना लास्ट ईयर तो FI मनी भी नहीं आया. Simple as that, right? So the retail money is flowing in into that, and that is why the dynamics of the markets has changed. Also one more thing, जो 25 साल वाले जो पहले जो इन्वेस्टर्स थे और अभी की जो इन्वेस्टर प्रोफाइल है वो टोटली डिफरेंट है. द रिस्क प्रोफाइल मेच्योरिटी है और द रिस्क प्रोफाइल इज ऑल्सो मच हायर. उस समय उतना रिस्क प्रोफाइल नहीं था. सो सेक्टर्स में उस समय जो नंबर ऑफ कंपनीज थे बहुत लिमिटेड थे, और अभी कंपनी वी हैव सीन अराउंड 600 or 700 न्यू फ्रंट लाइन कंपनीज इन द लास्ट 25 years नाउ विच हैव इमर्ज्ड. सो सेक्टर्स भी, सो इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू से कि कौन से सेक्टर्स. एज शी वाज सेइंग, discretionary is something going to be hit. Because we are already facing an urban slowdown, and this will push some of the purchase. So आपके car purchases शायद push हो जाए. People will not go and buy the cars at this point.
Homes, cars, travel.
Home loans also, right? Means home loans. Everything gets pushed maybe by a month before they come back.
Yeah.
They don't want to get into a situation जहाँ पर आपने ले लिया, liver किया, और फिर then you get stuck.
Yes.
Another thing which you were also mentioning about essential items which is there, I'm not sure our pipelines are full in
That's also true.
right?
Whether stocking up is there or
Stocking up of the
channels are
pipelines,
stocked.
because I remember COVID खत्म होने के बाद it took them at least two quarters to stock up the pipelines. So that and that was a community, right? We were not able to stock. हमको थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है स्टॉक करने में. So वो जो just in time inventory, high inventory, 45 days, 60 days inventory वो नहीं है अभी इस वक्त. तो वो companies will take at least 3 weeks to push that out.
Correct.
and that might not also be there because अभी already हम देख रहे हैं कि demand slowdown है. So accordingly the man would have penciled in कि demand
So
है नहीं, तो pipeline inventory
essentials का
stack up करने का
definition भी change हो जाएगा. It will be more of those kind of चावल दाल kind of thing which is there,
Very basic.
and not a very basic kind of thing which will be there, and not any other thing. So the definition is going to change, and some of the services is going to change.
But what wouldn't change is going out and eating a meal. Maybe those kind of things. Those
Depends
things
on
which are,
how.
which are immediate.
1999 you would have gone out, and today you will order at home, right?
Yeah.
Either way, order at home. Then you are going bullish on Zomato, sir.
Not really Zomato.
Just putting it out there.
Not just Zomato. Means COVID में आप Zomato थोड़ा बुला रहे थे, आप घर में बना रहे थे ना?
Correct.
तो फिर so simple.
So we are stretched now.
हाँ, but we are stretched. There is one last question I think we should take.
Stay
Sir
invested.
Sadanand. Yeah, should we stay invested or reshuffle opportunity in the market? The market is giving a lot of opportunity. Means as Hersh began by saying, we were surprised with the kind of the maturity the market showed. It's still about 24,000 as we are going to end the show, and I think a lot of people are now using passive investing, which is ETFs and index funds, and that we saw into April numbers also, 19,000 net inflows into ETFs which are coming.
Correct.
So I think that's an opportunity people think. If you don't have that guts to go and bet on a stock, bet on the fund manager and the ETF and let him do the work.
I had tweeted
I
today
think
morning
long term.
कि आज bottom होगा. I'm gonna have to chew those words on
Yeah.
Twitter. But yes, sorry.
And I think long-term investors shouldn't worry about small hiccups in the market.
But yeah, but it's an opportunity for many of the
100%.
sectors actually.
Yeah, what's
Because-
fallen will.
And we were talking about
will
right,
likely do well.
retail Nifty Realty is the most,
Yeah.
which has fallen actually.
Worst hit.
Worst hit.
All right.
So
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank
Let's
you guys for tuning in.
stay safe wherever you are, and be careful.
Yeah, and from all
And
of
pray
us.
that things don't escalate.
Yeah, and no, from all of us, we truly admire what the armed forces are doing, and our heart, our respect, our minds are with them.
Yeah, you and me are
Yeah.
sleeping
Our
at
good wishes.
night calmly and peacefully
It's
because
because
of
of
them.
them.
And markets, frankly, we discussed markets today, but frankly, that's just work for us, and we want to continue to do what we do every day and keep India productive, and that's the only reason why we're doing this. But outside of that, our hearts, our minds are all with the armed forces, and truest amount of respect for what they do. So
May the force be with them.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Chale? Sorry.